Welcome to Cooking with Heart for Class 4 Foundational. So Cooking with Heart Foundational Class 4. And this is our last time, so you're going to graduate. Yay! So it is a little sad though, because I'm going to miss seeing you, and but you're going to be ready. But we've got to cover 2 concepts tonight, so then you'll be ready. I had some questions about when I talked about bread, because I kind of beat up bread a little bit last time. So, and some of you were a little probably like in shock, like she basically said the whole aisle of bread. And yeah, okay, so let me explain. So, okay, intact grains. The intact grains means it has the 3 layers as Mother Nature made it. Now there is a hull that's taken off that's indigestible technically, but you're left with the 3 layers, the germ, the endosperm, and the bran. Normally it's the endosperm that is in products, refined. So it's a starchy, it actually feeds the kind of plant its calories, basically. That's not much more. So the only technically intact grains that we traditionally have available in our culture right now are barley, steel-cut oats, brown rice, quinoa, cracked wheat, wheat berries, rye berries, sorghum, amaranth, and millet. Okay, so those are technically 100% intact, what we call intact. Now, can you repeat that? Yes. Barley, steel-cut oats. So traditional oats are teeny bit processed, technically. Okay, we're going to call steel cut the intact. I do traditional, but I'm just saying steel cut is teeny bit less. I mean, it's intact. Brown rice, quinoa, you tried that. Cracked wheat, wheat berries, rye berries, sorghum, amaranth, millet. We could add farro, but we don't get the farro. We don't get, I mean, we just don't get it intact. So technically, I'm not saying that other things you're not hearing aren't good for you. Okay. Whole wheat flour has vitamins and minerals. Okay. But as far as fiber goes, it has some, but you're not going to get all the benefits. So let me explain. Okay. So there's a stepwise progression from the intact grain all the way over to the refined flour for the response to blood sugar. So think about it. If you've got the whole plant here, intact grain, it takes your body more time to chop it, thus release into your bloodstream, thus spike, but it won't spike when it's the whole grain, the intact grain, because it's so slow, the release. Okay, so you're going to get your best blood sugar response, in other words, low, from the intact. And when we're talking about bread, we have whole grain, which is already processed. It's not technically the intact. Then you have coarse whole grain flour. And then you have fine whole grain flour. And that's what we usually find in the grocery store. And then you have the refined. That's taken out the bran and the germ. Okay, so you're going to have a higher blood sugar, quicker, more immediate response from the refined, and then the whole grain fine powder. Okay, you've done the work for your digestion in some ways for the insulin response. Okay, so the other thing, think about it. If your blood sugar isn't going up very quickly, tell me about the insulin response. Because remember, insulin, if you know anything, we haven't covered this class, we cover it in diabetes, but if you know about blood sugars, that there's no way you can get the glucose in your bloodstream lowered without insulin. Insulin unlocks the door. So tell me what's happening with insulin in parallel to this. Is there any effect if we're having a slow climb of blood sugar from the intact? How's that going to affect the insulin in our bloodstream?
Slow it down.
Oh, a lot. We don't need as much. Overall, we are not going to be pumping out as much insulin, period, whether you spread it or not. And that's big. B-I-G, big. It is underplayed right now in the health arena, but almost every day I talk to somebody about insulin resistance or insulin response because it's so key in inflammation, in diabetes, in heart disease, all these things. Okay. And menopause, I talked to somebody this morning about menopause and they're having trouble losing weight. And one strong possibility, without a test, I don't know, but could be that insulin response has been overloaded from 40 years, 50 years, 60 years. And when you get to menopause, talking to the gals, you don't have any, your body doesn't have any like padding to work with as far as like if you don't eat so well or you have a lot of stress, you're gonna feel it. So if you try and lose weight in menopause, it's really tough. It is. That's a reality. Because of your insulin, a lot of times because your hormones might be off and insulin response. So all these things. So bottom line, that's a big thing. The other thing is, so we're talking blood sugar is affected, insulin's affected, and the last one is, well, appetite. We think appetite is better affected by intact grains. That makes sense. Okay. And then it's thought to be more helpful for constipation because the intact grains actually, once they get to your bowel, they move things faster. And then one more thing to add to that with the intact grains, they create more activity in your microbiome. And your microbiome is in your large intestines, your colon. Remember, I don't know if I mentioned, but I think I did. I think I remember saying like 70 to 80% of your immune system's in your large intestine. And one of the things that happens there is with fiber, the microbiome eats it and makes short chain fatty acids. One of them in particular that's emphasized in the research is butyric acid. And that is great for fighting against inflammation, lowering your inflammation, and insulin. So you need the fiber for all these things. And the more intact it is, the more elevated these response. You get a much softened response when you're grinding up things. Okay, so the fiber the number on the label might be there, but it's really, you're not getting the benefit. That's why I don't like a lot of things with the label, because those things were tested in what we call at-water bomb calorimeters. They don't know what happens in your body. It's just a number that they did in a lab. It's not the same in your body. And that's why I don't even like calorie counting. So I know that's a long response. Sorry, guys, but fiber is so important. It's one of the underutilized things. And I'm not against bread, but if we could get people to eat a lot less bread, because people think bread is a whole grain. And I'm not saying it isn't, but it's a weak one, really weak one. So you can understand why I just don't even have sandwiches. I'm not saying you'd never catch me having one, but that is not my norm part of my lunch or dinner. I might, like I said, I have a piece of toast with the Ezekiel open face with lots of veggies on there, hummus, avocado, possibly an egg. So those are things that I like on it. But if I'm not going to feel guilty about having a piece of a baguette, real homemade baguette, because I'm not calling that a whole grain. That's not what I'm eating in my diet is whole grain. Now this takes time, guys. I used to eat half of a French bread loaf in my 20s. Okay. So that was the era where we said non-fat. And so I was eating, you wouldn't want to know what I was eating, and those gross SnackWells. So, but I was eating all wrong. So we learn, and then we also figure out what works for us. Oh, are we getting some? We're getting some. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. And I know there's a question. Let me get you. I want to get this. I'm not very good at multitasking. Yes, question.
What are good sources of fiber then?
Like I said, like the ones that I read off, they're the brown rice, the quinoa, amaranth, sorghum. Some of those take a little longer. Overall, most people, I'm going to say generalization, but this is, you need to check this out individually. Most of us could cut back on our carbs overall. So you don't need to necessarily replace all your carbs with whole grains. Okay. Remember, half of what we are eating should be vegetables, fruits, a quarter whole grains, and that's a starting point. Some people would be fine with not 25%, but 15%. Okay. I'm not saying no whole grains. They have a purpose, but we are a little overboard on the kind of the carbs. I hate to even call them whole grains, carbs. So I don't want to depress anybody, but okay. So, and I said to Julie, or was it Karen? Somebody asked, whoever asked this great question, said kind of like homemade, they were making homemade bread and they're like, well, what do I do? So I had a recipe. I have no idea how this is, but there's an app. There's a podcast I listen to called Doctor's Kitchen. He's a doctor that basically in his 20s, right at the end of his residency or whatever, I don't know exactly, but he helped himself through nutrition. He had kind of a rare condition, but he used nutrition and then he switched to doing functional medicine. And so he has a great podcast and he's created an app called the Doctor's App that's all about food. He's UK and it's very diverse, ethnic diverse, the recipes, like a lot of Indian recipes, a lot of African recipes, a lot of, so there's a lot of whole grains that we just talked about in his recipes. But he had a no-knead, chia, flax, and oat bread. So that, I have no idea how it tastes. I have a feeling it's hearty, but, Doctor's Kitchen app. So, and there is like a charge after, he has a free and then I do the free. And what I do is I get his newsletter and listen to his podcast and then I'll get like one free recipe and I'll be like, okay, that's good for me. So, but I know some of you have asked about like recipe sites and stuff like that. I have a couple I go to, but like anything else, some of them are flops. So, I hate to say this one, like you have to test it out and know most of the recipes out there are crap. So they're under pressure to produce. And so they are, but I refuse to do that. I have to taste test mine. And I usually have like I used to do this because I used to do my own thing, but I had a family that would kind of be my guinea pig and they weren't my family. So just to make sure that, I wasn't being biased. So just be careful with the kind of the recipe sites out there. But the Doctor's Kitchen, he definitely is about a lot of good flavors, ethnic, and he's got a lot of great guests and stuff like that. So, yes. Yeah.
So how old were you when you changed your way of eating from, below the bread, probably you do.
Yeah. Okay.
To eating healthy?
I definitely changed a lot when I started to have kids. So that was a time, it's not easy, but it's time when you start to become like, oh, maybe I should be eating better. I did a lot of non-fat, very no nutrition in it. In my 20s, I was out in LA. So just surrounded by that kind of culture. So, and then it's a gradual thing. Like I used to, and when I had my family, 3 young kids, I have a 4th, but she was later. So when the kids were 3 young and I was working and it was busy and hectic, I actually I was privileged then to have a housekeeper, like somebody helped me a couple times a week with doing things with the 3 young kids because I volunteered at church and did work and stuff. And I actually, at one point paid her to make my recipes because I was like, I would rather spend time with the kids than spend time making. So one day she spent 4 hours. I paid her to make recipes. So I created recipes. Now those recipes I don't use anymore because I've gravitated off of those to things that are a higher healthy index per se. So those were a good point at that point. So you're always kind of moving on the spectrum. I do highly recommend considering, I know I was privileged, but I'm telling you, I had 2 different women over the time and they didn't come every day. They came twice a week for a couple hours, but I always had one of them do my meals. And I know that is privilege, but the money that it cost, I didn't pay like a chef. They weren't a chef. I was paying their same rate. And they were thrilled. They loved shopping and coming back and making these recipes and freezing them because they learned. And I mean, so just, you never know. So keep that in mind. I've suggested to some people, it really wasn't that expensive. Okay. So when you come down to how much it costs to eat out, guys, I don't know. I mean, I just can't eat out because it's too expensive with 4 kids. So, and doing the order meals, those are a great option. But again, those are like if you saw my budget, that is not in my budget. So, but if those are things to definitely consider. And you'd be surprised, an investment of $30 a week, paying somebody a few minutes of your recipes, you would probably get a lot from that. So I know it may be out of people's budget. I get that. So, but if time is a constraint, and when the kids were young, that was a really smart thing for me to do.
So the recipes were healthy recipes.
They were, but they had a lot more refined carb in them. It didn't have as many veggies as I do now at all. So it was, I had some veggies, but it was not at all what it is now. So I had a lot of tortillas, enchiladas, things like that. And pastas. I hardly do pastas anymore. I do some. My kids like my ex is Filipino. So for 20 years, we did a lot of Asian cooking and stuff. So that's the noodles, the rice noodles and things like that. It's very common. So, but I don't do pasta too often. So, you can do whole wheat pasta, but again, you're already going a little more processed. It's still much better than refined pasta. So, yes.
Let's go with you and try a chickpea pasta.
Yes. And that one goes over very well. Thank you for bringing that, Jermaine. So the bean pastas they are flour, so you're going to miss out on some of that fiber. So keep that in mind. Whenever we make a super fine flour, we're missing out on some of that fiber. You are getting some, and we need that. We need that fiber a lot. But the chickpea, some people, the durum is just too hearty. So the chickpea is a little lighter in color too. So it kind of fools people a little bit, So, and the taste, a lot of people take the taste. So the chickpea, there's also lentil. So, and just look at the ingredient list. It usually is just lentil flour, chickpea flour. Again, look at the list to see, but usually that's only, so it's minimally processed. You are losing out some on the fiber benefit, but still that's great, especially when you got kids. I know, Jermaine, you have kids. So yeah, so you do what you can do, guys. And so, I work with my young adult freshman in high school. She makes one meal a week. The other day it was beef stew. So she didn't add a lot of beef. I was surprised, which was great. I didn't really have a lot in my piece, and I added tofu in the dish. So I just had my cube tofu and put it in there to kind of absorb. But she had cabbage. She did have the core of the cabbage in there, I noticed. So I'm going to work on teaching her how to core cabbage. So, but I let her go and do it. And, and she's doing smoothies in the morning. Smoothies aren't horrible, but a lot of times the stuff that's added to them are, again, it's like, ooh, okay. But I'm like, okay, she's doing it. She's eating at breakfast, first of all. She's, adding fresh fruit and frozen fruit. So you start where you are, and then you gradually figure out, oh, I could do that or this or that. So it is a progression, and we're always on the journey. I've got things I'm doing and figuring out. I still am. So it doesn't end. I mean, I love chocolate, and there's nothing wrong with chocolate, but I probably eat a little too much chocolate than, I want to do in 10 years, but I'll gradually go there. So
So all the many years of eating poorly,
Yeah.
you didn't realize it until you get older and then you realize it. But, so all those years of eating bad, and then you start wanting to incorporate good foods.
Yeah.
Into your diet. Does that help? Does it reverse any of the?
Yes,
Or
that's a
is
good
it
question.
Lost cause.
So, no, it's not. It's not. So do I know exactly? No, but a lot of it is going to help with the insulin resistance. So there are some certain points with insulin resistance that you're kind of at, it's hard to reverse, but you can still do a lot of good. The inflammation is one in particular that you want to reduce that. And you can do that with your eating, with your stress, those kind of things. So yes, and the inflammation buildup underneath, I mean, that's, we saw that in COVID and responses. We see it in all kinds of things that pop up. So cancer responses, a lot of times your response to medications has to do with inflammation too sometimes. I mean, it's multifactor. I don't want to make it sound so simple, but yeah, you can. But again, usually you have to, that first step is going to start making a difference, but you probably have to be a couple steps in to really start making some big differences in what you're talking about over the years. So I used to have a Starbucks every single day, a sugared up Starbucks every single day. So because it was stressful with 3 kids raising them. So that was my moment of mom time, really. I mean, it was my self-care. I was living away from my family. It was just me. So for years and years, I would not give up that mocha. So I'm down to once a week. So, I mean, that's taken me 10 years to get to, but I don't feel deprived. So I have that one time and I enjoy it. And, so we're all on the doing, working on things. So, it's not a lost cause at all. It all makes a big difference. So I do want to share one thing from last week with the wraps. So this is another kind of novel, kind of super inexpensive wrap. It's in both Hy-Vee and Walmart. It's usually in Hy-Vee. They put it all kinds of places, like where all the sauces are, jarred sauces at the bottom shelf. And on Walmart, they usually put it in the Asian aisle top. So, but what this is like the rice noodle. It's just rice paper. So the list of ingredients is rice flour, tapioca flour, water, salt. So there's no fiber in here. So there's not got nutrition that way, but 2 wrappers is 60 calories. So 30 calories for this. So that's minimal. So what I say is this is a carrier for what's inside, whereas a tortilla is contributing a lot. You don't get a tortilla for less than 60. And that's the bare minimum. Most of them are 120 carbs and it's a paragraph. And you don't really get fiber. If you get fiber, it's kind of added to it. So it looks like a wafer. What am I thinking? Church communion wafer. It looks like. So you need to get it wet. So you're going to watch. I'm just going to go over for those at home. Just going to go over and run water one side. So this one kind of cracked, but I want you to see. And I brought some for those. So that's it. I've done this at parties before where I took a souffle kind of pan and just filled it with water and just told guests they just need to go down and up. That's all you need to do. And then you let it set and you can see it's already starting to get, so you can wrap it. Now, you do need to kind of use it. You can't 10 minutes later come back because it's going to be sticky and stretchy. So it's going to be you're going to be sticking to yourself and all that. So, but you can't put as much as we put in the wraps last week. Usually what you do is you put the veggies, maybe mini shrimp is really nice. Tofu, little cubes of tofu go in here, but you can put things like basil, scallions. You can even, my kids actually love to do this, and sometimes Gabby will make a meal with this, but she'll usually make some rice noodles, we'll make some extra the day before and just put a little noodle like pasta. Kids love pasta, so we just put a few in there and then we put veggies and then I wrap it like a tortilla. So you can see it's getting sticky now. So I was a little slow, but you can wrap it. You can wrap it up. You can see the picture here. So I went too late. So, but you can wrap it just like we did last week. But you put carrots, different things in there, but usually veggies, cabbage, that kind of thing. And then you dip it like in the hoisin-like sauce. So you dip it. A lot of times in Asian, you'll see on the menu as an appetizer, they'll have fresh spring rolls. Usually it's some combination of this. So, but you can bring these to work and just assemble the ingredients and then just dip it in your peanut sauce, or you can do like a soy, coconut aminos with rice vinegar. Garlic a lot of times is done. You can add a little bit of the Thai chili sweet sauce if you wanted to, a little lemon. Those are the kind of things in the Asian culture that they use a lot of lime. Yes, question.
I was just gonna ask, have you put hummus on that as well? Like
inside, it would be hard because it's a little fragile, not fragile. It just can't hold a lot. It will break. So it's not fragile. You saw there, it will be too much. So you could dip it in hummus and you could smear it on, the outside kind of thing. So, yeah. So, So those are just some things to think about because that's a carrier for, the Collard wrap, of course, is great because it contributes a lot of nutrition and fiber. But if you're like, I'm not sure about the Collard wrap, maybe this would be something too. So you just need to adjust a little bit what you're putting inside. So I wanted to share that because that's a fun thing to do. And I know one of the gentlemen in one of the previous classes, he sent me a picture the other day. He put mini shrimp and like lettuce and different things in there, and he loved it. So, and he had a sauce, he made up a red sauce. So, okay. So, want to get going? So, today we're going to talk about a really important concept. Two of them, mindful eating and caloric density is the other one. So you'll see why these are really, really important. At the end, I will share some ways that you can continue on your journey and be supported. I want to remember to share that when we get to the end. Also, you have your gift here, those that are here. If you want a copy of the gift, those people online, go ahead and text Tanya. Tanya, you can take the names. But we have the menus there. The menu is 1 week of menus, breakfast, lunch, dinner. I put CWH, cooking with heart. And then I put a D or an F or a C for cancer, foundational, or diabetes. So it comes from those classes. I did add some nuts on the side. You'll notice you're like, why did she add nuts there or something like, or beans, I said too, in a couple cases, because I was just trying to make sure we had minimum 20 grams of protein. Okay, if you only ate that, then I wanted you to make sure you're getting 20 grams of protein. So that's just kind of a general good number. That way you'd get 60 plus whatever snacks a day, which for most people would cover them, where most of us are getting too much protein, really. But I do want to be cautious too, to make sure, since these are all plant-based. So if you have questions on those, those are just meant to inspire you. I'm not expecting anybody to follow that. I just want you to pick ideas and go, oh, I never thought about that. Oh, that recipe. Oh, what about that? So that's what menus just don't work if people give them out, because we don't know your tastes. Whoever made them doesn't know your taste. So you got to figure that out. Okay, let's hop over to the PowerPoint. Mastering mindful eating. Okay, so our quote for the day is, come on, there we go. To change our eating habits, we must learn to eat mindfully, be more aware of chewing and tasting what we eat so that the brain can register the incoming nutrients. So this is not just like this is really our evolutionarily how we are wired. We are wired to chew, swallow, enjoy, and sit down for a meal, which in many cases, it's not just, it's how our biology, it works. So we're going to learn a little bit about that. Okay, since this is our last class, I want to just have you take a moment to think about, reflect on why you are taking this class. Okay, I know you have better things to do on Thursday night, but you've reserved this because it's performing some valuable giving you some benefit there. So I want you to just kind of say, hey, am I moving towards this? What is it that I really wanted to get out? And did I get that? Am I getting more? So it's just important that we keep that in mind. Okay, so caloric density. So caloric density, it's really critical to understand. It's the number of calories packed into a given weight. So it's not about volume. It's not about measuring 4 cups. It's about weight on the scale of food scale. So it's how many calories per pound usually is what I talk about. So we don't have to count calories. That's tedious, that's boring. This is much easier, and we still end up knowing whether your goal is to lose weight, maintain weight and be healthy, or gain weight. So, okay, how do you know if a food is high or low caloric density? Well, 3 things all you have to remember. Is it high in water? Is it high in bulk? Is it high in fiber? Okay, so then that's going to be low caloric density if it's high in all those things. So tell me, what foods are going to be high in water, high in fiber, high in bulk?
Vegetables.
Fruits and vegetables. Yes, yes. All right. So here you have a chart in your binder, and the first one is vegetables, non-starchy vegetables. So those are what we want to focus on. Finding delicious ways to eat vegetables. Then fresh fruits. I don't want you to remember any of the numbers on the right. I just want you to kind of get it. This is not a surprise, but those are kind of the ranges. And then we get into our whole grains and our starchy vegetables, and then beans, and then some non-fat dairy. And then we start going outside there with the fish, lean meats, and then we pop up to things way high there. So you see, we started at 65 calories per pound, and we went up to 1,200 there with the dried fruit and the breads, the refined kind of thing. So, so adding vegetables is going to decrease the caloric density of your meal, okay? Because that's going to average, pull it down. So, what about frying? What is frying going to do? Add, okay? It's about 3.5 times. What about dehydrating? Like going from a grape to a raisin. Add it 5 times. 5 times. Okay. So, okay, I'm going to stop sharing real quick here because we're going to do a game. So let me see here. I know. There we go. I want to stop sharing. There we go. So I'm back. Okay. And yes, I want you to see me here. So, okay. So, well, we're going to do a couple exercises and then we're going to get in the game. So, okay. I have Hershey's candy bar and an apple. These are both the same calories.
Really?
Yeah. But different caloric density. Which one's lower? Apple. Much lower caloric density. Which one's going to fill you up? Like satiety, fiber, and all that. Apple. Okay. Yes. Okay. So I have like kind of like 1 cup baby carrot, 3 cups baby carrots. So, okay, tell me, are these different in calories or the same? They're different calories. Okay, I think some of you are thinking ahead. Different calories, but what about caloric density? They're same. So the bottom line is, I don't care how much you eat if you're focused on the caloric density. If you're eating foods that are lower caloric density, they're going to fill you up. So you don't have to be into this like guilt of measuring and how much and calories and that kind of thing. Okay, so I need a volunteer.
What?
Aha! It's a game and you can ask for help. Carol, go, come on.
I did say, I'll be your backup with Carol.
Yeah. Okay, for those at home, I've got a tray full of different items and Carol is going to put them with help from the audience from lowest to highest. Okay, so I'll tell you what I have. I have baked potato. I have orange. I have a piece of bread. This could be whole grain or refined. This is oatmeal. Let's pretend this is like made up into oatmeal. So we added a little water and we heated it. I've got Oreos. I've got walnuts. I've got some beans. I've got some olive oil, and I've got broccoli. Now we're going to assume these are all same weight. So I know I don't have that, but let's just assume per pound. So they're all equal weight. So we're dealing with caloric density. What is the lowest? So just like Price is Right, you can ask in your audience.
Broccoli.
Okay, she's going with broccoli.
Okay.
Okay, at home, you guys can shout out if you want to.
And then
Okay.
you want the next one.
Yes, you're going to put them
I'm
all.
gonna say the orange. What do you think?
Orange. Okay, everybody agree there?
Okay,
Orange. Okay.
let's see now. That.
The oatmeal, I think. That's gonna have water in it.
Yeah, maybe the oatmeal. What do you think?
Like the potato, it'd be the potato.
I would say
oatmeal
potato too.
I think the oatmeal.
It's all in the same row, potatoes and.
Well, you're cheating. You're looking at the. Here. What were these? Oh, these are beans. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Okay, then I think the potato. And then the bread. What do you think?
What else? Yes, what's left there?
Well, we've got cookies, Oreo cookies, some nuts, walnuts, some beans, and the oil. The oil I know is at the end. Okay. And then I'd say the cookies. Okay, and then I'd say the nuts and the bean. I know this is wrong, but
No.
okay.
Hey,
So from here this way, like.
Okay. Let's give her a hand. Get her all the way here. Yeah.
Okay, good.
She may. Okay. So yes, broccoli is number one with 128 calories per pound. So that is by far the lowest. Then we go to the orange. You got that, Carol? 211. So, and now we're going to jump to oatmeal with 325. So Carol got all these. So note that this is 128 per pound. And we're going up to oatmeal with 325 when it's made up. Then baked potato, 495. Yes. And then beans, 550. So again, 128 to 550. I'm not saying good or bad, but I just want you to keep note because we're going to be jumping in a second. So the bread, we're going to switch this out, 1,120. 1,120. Then we're going to go to Oreos with 2,197. Remember 128? Now we're up to 2,100, almost 2,200. And walnuts with 2,600. And the olive oil is 4,000. 4,000. There's not much water in there. I know it's liquid, but there's not water. If you put that in the refrigerator, it's going to solidify very likely. So, okay, the point isn't that you never eat some of these, but the idea is start thinking about, these things are going to give you fullness, satiety. If you can find ways with just a little bit of this to make them delicious, you are going to feel full. Your energy is going to be great. Your body's going to love it. Okay. And again, it's not none, but just be careful about, these are very concentrated. Okay. So, and there's research out there that says we tend to eat the same weight every day. So think about that. Okay. So if you're eating potato chips versus broccoli, oh my goodness, the same weight, you're going to be not double. You're going to be like 20, 30, 40 times more caloric. And I'm not about counting calories, but you see how easy it is to gain weight, to overeat, eat more than you need, and be nutritionally stripped. So, but yeah, so, just keep that in mind. We're going to put these into practice now. I'm going to go back and kind of teach you how to understand, to put that to a meal and put that into your eating pattern. because I don't want you to think of just like, okay, I need to eat just lettuce and broccoli. I don't want that to be. So, but you understand that you want to be more and more bringing in those. For most of us, we don't have enough. Okay. So I didn't take, I want to take this moment to let you guys share. So since I've got the home, you guys on screen with me, I want you guys to share your learnings this last week. It's really important that you reflect, and we are a group doing this path together. So I want you to share. I know some of you have emailed me, so if you're comfortable, I'd love for you to share with the group the amazing things you've been doing, all the baby steps. We aren't comparing, remember? You are doing wonderfully, okay? I don't want you to say, oh, I didn't do what I was going to do, or I didn't do as much as that person. I don't want any of that. You're here. You're devoting your time, which is one of your most valuable, the most valuable resource you have, to being here. That's awesome. So share, what sort of things did you try out? I know Shane got tofu.
I purchased it.
He purchased it. It's in the refrigerator. So that's the first step. That's a big step. Okay. And he shared that, if you don't mind me sharing, Shane, what I heard, he's been reading labels and he's just thrilled with all these discoveries. So, yes, Kay.
I actually bought tofu.
Yay! Okay. He liked it last week, didn't you? Yes. Awesome. Awesome. Way to go. I know some of you have purchased it too. Anybody from home there? Do we have anything?
This is
Idea?
Ju-
Yes,
this is
Julie.
And I purchased it too. I was going to make it last night, but our power went out. But I also tried some new vegetables. I got some rutabaga, turnips, and sweet potato, and I chopped them up into like thin thin fries, and I put some olive oil and some rosemary seasoning on it and baked it in the oven, and it was really good. We've never done that before, had any of I've never even made a sweet potato before or anything. So it was good.
Oh my goodness, that's huge, Julie. Thank you for sharing. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Was there something else coming through there, Tanya?
Yes, so we have, you're gonna say she's spiralized zucchini.
Ooh.
Processor.
Spiralized zucchini. Ooh, yum. Awesome. Way to go, guys. Other sharings?
Well, actually, I bought and made tofu.
Oh my,
And I like what you say about, trying the recipe and then tweaking it.
yes.
I actually reduced the marinade and it made a lovely barbecue sauce.
Oh,
It was that was great. Those two things were really good. In my head, it proved it, so my note here, I made a little note,
Yeah.
reduce marinade for sauce.
awesome.
Yeah.
Wonderful. She reduced, I'll have to try. See, that's great. I just love that. I learn all the time from you guys. So awesome. Awesome. I know you guys are doing other things. So thank you for doing your baby steps. So it's all a learning. Some things work, some things don't, but you got to make the missteps to get there. So, and so many times that's part of the great learning. So anybody who's achieved anything has had a lot of missteps. So this is a journey. So awesome. Okay. Let's hop back to learning about caloric density. And then we've got another important topic. So, okay. So satiety is really important, tied to this whole thing of caloric density. It's the physical feeling of being full or satisfied. So, that really, it's a whole different energy, and it's been in a blue moon, like my daughters will make something that's really high sugar or really something, and they make it for me, so I'll eat it. But I notice the whole day because my energy is off, my hunger is off. So I'm pretty spoiled because of the way I've kind of, it's been my journey to get to where I am now, but I have energy all day long. So, and I don't get famished hungry. I get hungry and I'll eat, but I don't get like hangry. So, because of the fiber and the water and the, what I'm eating. So, okay. Oops, let's actually go to the full, there we go. Okay. Okay. So which one here has higher satiety? They have the same calories, but which one has higher satiety? Lentil soup does. Lentil soup does. Yes. Okay. So, water, fiber, and bulk. Again, these are just going to naturally fill you up, bring a lot of nutrients with it, and it's going to just, calorically, you will have no problem doing your goal of losing weight or maintaining. And I'll tell you how to tweak that in just a second. So, okay. Let's see. So, just to kind of, gloss over a little quickly some important I don't want to go too quickly, but we talk a lot about like, what's happened, what's in our like culture now that's like brought on all these health problems and things. And I don't have the answer, but here's one thing to consider is our food supply has changed a lot from 60 years ago. A lot. And if we look at from the lens of caloric density, what's happened? Were the food 60 years ago calorically low in caloric density or high in caloric density? Low. They were more whole food. Okay. So, that's when, we just started getting things like potato chips and like it was you didn't do it every day kind of thing, sort of thing. It was in a blue moon. I mean, I can remember it was like once every 3 months we went to like McDonald's and I had to, we had to count the French fries to share with my 4 siblings. So, but, nowadays it's right and left. We're having a lot of high caloric density foods. So we're changing that, and our biology is freaking out. So it's really not made to maintain a healthy weight that way. Okay. Oops, I wasn't supposed to show you this. So, but I got ahead of myself. So, okay, these have the same calories. Which one do you think is going to fill you up? Okay, you're going to get through. I'm not going to get through 6 potatoes. I love potatoes. So baked potato, a big misconception with baked potatoes is that they are high caloric. You're supposed to stay away. They're actually one of the most satiety filling foods when we do studies. It's what you put on top. When I go out to wellness fairs and I have a spin the wheel and have a question, I have on there, I try and encourage people to look at potato with what they put on top. And I encourage things like salsa and, pasta sauce and things like that have lower caloric density because it's the butter, sour cream, and cheese sauce that is just sabotaging the baked potato. So, soup. Today we're going to make some soup. Soup can go on top of baked potato. Okay, so here. Both of these have the same protein, fat, and carb ratio. Because some people are like, ooh, there's that magic ratio that you need to get. Protein. It's not. So here we have the same ratio. But which one's going to fill you up more? 2 pounds of pineapple or 40 gummy bears, however you say them. Pineapple. Yeah, pineapple. So, yeah. Okay. So going back to here, so what we find is if you want to lose weight quickly, you would eat from the first 2 mostly, okay? I mean, like, 80, 90%. Now, I'm not going to ask anybody to do that, but I just want you to know, you would lose weight. What we instead say is go from the first 4 mostly and add in 30 to 60 minutes of exercise. Just walking. That's what I do for exercise, just walking every day. So what we find as far as numbers go, caloric density wise, is let me find my numbers. 550 is what the American or the World Health Organization recommends. At 600 or more means you're going to start creeping on weight just slowly. You'll be like a year gone by and you're like, I gained like 4 pounds. How'd that happen? It's just slow. Now, if you're at 800 as your caloric density, you're gaining weight. You're definitely gaining weight. You want to be 500 or less And I don't want anybody crunching numbers. It's a matter of where are you getting most your food from? Because I don't want you to be hungry either. Okay, and I don't want you to count calories. You don't need to. You just need to make sure most of what you're eating is in the first 4 if you want to lose weight. And the first 5 with some from that seafood. You know, I love that seafood in there. For healthy eating. And if you want to gain weight, well, okay, it's olive oil, avocado, and nuts. A lot of those. Okay. So a study they did, yeah, okay, here's my numbers. I was spot on. Okay, a study they did where they took subjects and they said, I want you to eat this, and I'll tell you what that is, and then I want you to eat from the buffet ad hoc, whatever you want. So the 5 different things they fed them first, one was a salad, like a 50-calorie salad. So mostly your vegetables, non-starchy. Second group, they gave them that salad, but doubled it. So it was 100 calories, but it was still taking mostly all from that first group. Third group, they did a calorically dense salad. So they had the bacon bits, the sunflower seeds, the croutons, really packed it on there. Fourth one, they had a cup of soup. Fifth one they had, or a bowl, it was a bowl of vegetable soup. The fifth one they had, or the last one, they had 100-calorie fruit juice. Which one do you think, when they went to the buffet, the group overall ate the least? In other words, filled them up the most. And they aren't told what the study's doing in these when they're done right.
Your salad that was good, or the soup.
It was a soup. It was a soup. And then the larger salad, then the smaller salad. And the worst was the fruit juice. Everybody thinks fruit juice is semi-okay. It's not. I'd rather have my kids drink pop than fruit juice. Because if I let them drink fruit juice, they think they're drinking something healthy, and they aren't. And I don't want them to think they are. I'd rather have them just have the pop and go, a lot of sugar in there. So it's one thing that, again, it's that, what are they kind of in their mind justifying? So, okay. So what do these results mean? So we want to start looking at when we have high density, caloric density foods, especially ones like nuts and stuff that we want to have, we want to add in those things that are very low on the caloric density so that the ratio is less than 1 to 1. So what does that look like? So, okay, if we have 563 caloric density and we want to go down to 4, we have 4 cups and we want to take it down, because maybe our goal is to lose weight. What do we do here? Tell me, I've got 4 cups of whole wheat pasta. What do I do? Add vegetables. Okay, I'm at 422. If I want to go lower, what do I do? Add more vegetables. Now I'm at 350, guys. Now, the point isn't you should have whole wheat pasta with 2 cups of plain broccoli, but you see how easy it is. It's going to fill, this is going to fill you up. You're going to have energy. And you're learning how to make it tasty. So for health, to keep that caloric density with the culture we're living in low at that 550 or lower, you want to eat foods with lower caloric density first. So start out your meal with a salad or a cup of vegetable soup. So to build a meal, this is just, you don't have to, but I'm just trying to take you through the process. Okay, I'm planning this meal. What non-starchy vegetable am I wanting? That should be the base. Ideally, that's what we should be planning first. Are you going to start with a small salad or a cup of vegetable soup? So that's 2 vegetables we're looking at, possibly there. If not, if we're not starting, then we need another non-starchy vegetable because we need to get to half. What starchy vegetable or whole grain carb? So one or the other would be ideal. Again, you may not be there. You need to take baby steps to work your way to this kind of meal building. Okay, are you going to have a lean protein, quality protein, fish, lean chicken, tofu, beans? What herbs and spices would bring out the flavor quotient of the meal? Now, if you're at your goal weight, then you can add in maybe some nuts, seeds, avocado, splash of high polyphenol, olive oil, and then optional add in non-fat dairy or dairy substitute. Does that make sense? You don't have to do this every meal, but if you could find a meal that you're like, oh, that fits really well with that, I like that, then have that more often. And over time, find more meals. Now, one way that I do kind of this concept, but I don't do it meal by meal necessarily, I create that bulk salad or soup on the weekend. And I eat that through every day. Eat that. So I know I'm getting more vegetables, more bulk that's going to fill me up so that at the mealtime, if I'm not having it at my mealtime, I'm not as hungry and I've already got a good start on my vegetables. Okay, let's go into mindful eating. This is really important. It's part of actually how we're biologically programmed. So this is just some things to consider. Mindful eating cycle, why am I eating is really the biggest one here, but when am I eating? So, am I eating because I'm hungry? Am I eating because the clock says, I should eat? Am I eating because I'm being offered food? Am I eating because I'm not gonna have time later? Am I eating this because I forgot to pack something and this is my only choice? What am I eating? Did I plan ahead? How am I going to eat? Okay, let's talk about how I'm going to eat. So mindless eating. So if you eat while you're reading your phone or watching a TV or reading a book, do you think you're going to eat more or less? More. That's mindless eating. All studies, you eat more. And we're doing this all the time. Okay, so here's a great tool to help out. It's the hunger scale. You don't necessarily have to memorize every little point. The idea is to understand the concept and start asking in whatever form, if it's numbers or just questions. How hungry am I? You want to be 4 to 6 on the scale. You don't want to go above 6 when you stop. And you don't want to let yourself get hungrier than a 4. A 5 is, I really don't feel physically a sensation of fullness, nor a sensation of hunger. Neutral. When you really look inward. 4 means I'm hungry. When you start to there's kind of a range there. So 5, you're not hungry, not full. And then you start to get hungry. You need to have food within 30 to 60 minutes. That's the way we're programmed. If you go over that, you're going to be tipping into 3. You'll be at the beginning of 4, probably in an hour. If you've been eating fiber foods, this is how it works. Okay, so you start eating, you're at 4, and you stop at a 6 because you're going to bump up in 20 minutes. You notice that? How you're like, oh, whoa, I ate a lot. I ate more than I thought. And it's like a half an hour later. You feel it. Your body was made that way. That's your hormones in your small intestine that are reading the carb, protein, and fat and kind of saying, did you give me enough to last a couple hours? That's what it's hoping. It's actually not calorie counting, but it's getting a sense because it knows what juices it had to have there to start breaking down. And if you just gave it air, it's going to be like, you didn't give me enough. So it's not going to give you that fullness feeling. Now, you do get some sensation right away of fullness. It's not that same hormonal sensation. That's your stomach with the stretch and how much volume. So if you have water or soup and things like that, you're going to get a sensation started in your stomach. That's fast. That's neural. But the 20-minute, 25-minute is hormonal, and it's stuff that's gotten into your small intestine. It's not fully digested, but your body has sensed and sent signals to your brain to say, I think we got enough for the next couple hours. So you really will stop a half an hour later at 7. So you just slightly get full. Okay. There's some like Greek saying that says something like 8 parts are for health. The last 2 parts are for the doctor. Okay. So you eat till 80% full. If you live in Okinawa, Japan, it's just part of your culture. They don't have overweight people because people are eating to 80%. That's just their culture. Okay. This stuff is hard. It's complicated. We're faced with food every day, several times. So don't beat yourself up on making these changes. If you can work your way towards more mindful eating, you will lose weight, you will get healthier, you will feel better. It's a tough thing. Okay, so again, really emphasize practicing mindfulness, being aware. I do always ask if I'm hungry. I know the scale by heart, but I'm not really taking numbers. So whatever works for you. I do recommend if you're not aware if you're hungry or not when you're eating, that you do this for 3 days at least and see if it makes a difference and how much you eat. And I'll show you some tools, some strategies in a second, but just try it out for 3 days. Whether you ask yourself if I'm hungry, stop when you're full, try. You're going to probably, misstep, but start seeing. If you're not doing that, see how it affects things. I'm betting it's going to have a really significant change. So slowing down, a couple different ways. Let's see, I'm just going to go through here. Yeah. A couple different ways for slowing down. You can take a sip of water and put your glass down between, just kind of start setting up that habit. Or you can set your fork down between each bite, your spoon, that kind of thing. Just start doing that habit. If you want to do that, you need to rehearse when you get home because you're not going to automatically do that. Just because you say, I'm going to do that, you're not going to. Our minds are way too full of stuff. So you got to sit down and pretend and start just pretending you're eating and just put it down. One other thing, if you're like, not going to work for me, is take your food when you put it in your plate like you normally do, cut it in half, like all in half, put half on one side, half on the other. And if you want to, just get another plate and shove it all, half of it off into another plate and put it an arm's length away. Only eat half. After you're done with that half, ask yourself, am I still hungry? If you're going to have real trouble slowing down, that's one way to do it. And then you can't eat that half. You ask, how hungry am I? And then you cut it in half. So at least 4 times of doing that before you finish the plate. But that way, if you finish the plate, you know you are actually hungry. But most of us are overeating because we were told, clean the plate. So, okay. So I want to do a mindful eating activity. So those of you at home, I need you to go get 2 chocolate chips or 2 raisins. So we're going to pass out here something, but everybody here is going to, actually, no, we'll just pass it out. So, because I want to do the 3 connecting things. So just pass out. They can see it. Sometimes I make you close your eyes, but I'm going to be nice today and let you see it, but don't open it. Okay. So, and you just get 1. I know it's going to be really hard. Yeah, I know. Okay, so it's a Dove chocolate here, guys. Sorry. So one of the little Dove chocolates. So, okay. So there's 3 things that I highly recommend, even if you just start with 1, but eventually go to 3 things I want you to connect with when you eat, and you'll see what I mean. The first thing is I want you to connect with the food. Like, where in the world, how did this food get into your house? Okay, no, I don't mean like that, Kathy. Okay, I mean like, okay, the farmer. Okay, we've got chocolate. So we got a cocoa bean farmer either in Brazil or in Central America somewhere or Africa somewhere that dried these out and the pods. And it's amazing. I've looked into the process. I told you I love chocolate. So, but how did, the vegetables, the broccoli, whatever you have on your plate, the nuts, did it come from a tree or did it come from a bush but just, who's the driver that drove it to the warehouse? Or who's the person in Hy-Vee that made sure it was looking nice on the shelf? But you just need to take, I'm just asking like 20 seconds, just have appreciation for the food. It really is, I mean, it will change your process once you start to just give 20 seconds. So appreciating the food. Then second, I want you to look at and connect with your body. So that means just internally what's going on in your body. Are you hungry? Are you full? Are you neither? Are you nervous? Are you stressed? Are you angry? Are you sad? Are you, I have no idea, but it's crazy on inside my body. Am I bored? But connect with your internal and be compassionate. I don't want you judging, feeling guilty. If you're bored or stressed or angry, it's okay to eat. I just want you to be aware. No judging, total self-compassion. But I want you to be aware. Awareness is the first step. And then you make a decision, usually not the first time, not the second, but maybe the fourth, 10th time to go, I want to change this. So you connect with, so right now I want you to kind of just ask yourself, how hungry am I? Am I 4 where I have very distinguishable hungry signals? Or I'm just starting to get hungry, so I'm just starting into that 4. Or I'm not hungry or full, so I'm 5. Or I've got a little fullness I can feel there in my stomach. I can feel a little bit there. I got a sensation. Or, oh, I had dinner. I can feel it. So just take note of that. Okay, so that's connecting with your body. And the last thing is, I want you to connect with pleasure. Food is meant to be pleasurable. And there's good reason we should enjoy it. So I want you to unwrap, but I want you to take full notice. For those here, I want them to listen to the wrapper. I don't want them to eat it yet. So at home, you can just maybe flip the chocolate chip or the raisin a little bit in your fingers. So go ahead and unwrap. And we're going to savor and enjoy this. And be mindful. Okay, go ahead. Once you got it unwrapped, as you listen to the wrapper, feel the chocolate, feel the wrapper. Maybe read the little saying on it. I love those. Go ahead and take it up and just smell it. Just take a sniff and then notice. Go ahead and at home, take a sniff of your raisin or you may or may not pick up anything. And it might give you a memory. You might have memories coming up. Our sensation with smell is very strong with memories. Okay, now I want you to just take one bite and put it down and hold that bite in your mouth. Just take one of the raisin, one of the chocolate chip, put the whole thing in for those at home. And just hold it in your, don't swallow it, don't even chew it. Let it melt. And just feel it. Roll it around. See, does it melt all at once? Or does it slowly melt? You're probably tasting some of it, even though you're not swallowed yet. So those at home, if you have the raisin, go ahead and now chew the raisin and see if it like plumps up. If you can feel the juiciness of it. And then I want you to slowly roll it to the back of your mouth and swallow and follow it down as far as you can go. Now for this next one, I want you to do a contrasting bite, and I want you to take a bite and swallow, and that's it. Just quickly take a bite, don't choke, but quickly take a bite and swallow. Now you've had 2, and hopefully you did that with your second raisin or chocolate chip. So I did that because for the experience, the first one was a mindful savoring experience. And the second one was what most of us are doing most of the time. I mean, I'm making a big assumptions there, but that's mindless eating. So which one did you enjoy more?
First one.
Most are going to say the first one. And that's a gift that we're missing when we eat. We are missing out on that. We're not savoring our food. So I encourage you to think about, how can I use what I just learned in my everyday life? I'm not asking you to mindfully eat every bite. Nobody has time for that. But could you mindfully eat the first couple bites? Could you mindfully or eat one meal a week, Friday night, Sunday lunch, or just start to be more mindful? It will kind of spill over and you start to become more aware, but you'll get more enjoyment. And you will notice some foods taste better than you thought and some taste worse. So one of the techniques for breaking cravings and overeating is to become aware. Dr. Judith Brewer, he does training for smoking and overeating. And he uses the same concept of being aware and no judgment, only self-compassion. And he has people first times continue overeating, continue to smoke. But I want you to be aware. I want you to actually smell the smoke, taste it. And he has them do that several times and come back to him. And over time, it usually takes 6 to 11 times, has them gradually start to ask, is this paying off for me? In other words, am I getting a reward? Is that headache the next day, or the coughing, or the stomach ache from overeating, is that really feeling good? So you start to have the association when you're starting to overeat, that this is going to mean I'm going to feel a certain way the next morning. And you start to teach your reptilian brain that the bigger, better reward is not to overeat, but is to just savor a couple bites. I know it's not super easy, but he does work with and has a lot of success. And I do have some people have success that way, but you have to be totally self-compassionate. When you start adding shame and guilt, you've blown it. So, okay. So it's time to get cooking. I know that's just such an important concept of mindful eating. So I hate to skimp on it. But we're going to go through and we're going to make chocolate because we have to. So let me see, get back here. Let me see. I'm not sharing. So, good. Okay. I was thinking I was sharing. Okay. So we're going to get started. So I'm going to start with the soup, the Brighten Your Day soup. This is one of my favorite soups. It's got a lot of ingredients, but you don't have to do a lot of prep. So that's the good thing. You don't do a lot of chopping. It's kind of just dumping and putting together. So there is a little bit in the beginning. Let me see. I've got and we're going to start heating this. Okay. Gotta heat. I made the asparagus one ahead and immersion blended it. So we're just going to heat that one up while we're cooking. And I'm going to start the Brighten Your Day. So, okay. For this one, we're going to start off with extra virgin olive oil. Here we go. There it is. So we're going to start off with that. And we're going to heat that up. Remember, the procedure is we see if it's hot. Oh, you guys at home, shoot. So I need to switch you guys so you can see what's happening. Let's get that.
Like you could feel me gonna say something.
I know, I did. And I was like, what am I getting? We're not burning the broccoli again. So,
Does anybody need water? Is I get some water?
can you hit camera 2 there? So, okay, so this is warm. Remember, about 6 inches off, you feel it warm, then you add the oil, okay? And then we're gonna add our onions and just get those cooking first, 2 to 4 minutes. And then we're gonna add the garlic and until it's fragrant. So let's see, this is gonna be pretty quick. We're gonna go a little quicker. I'm just gonna pretend that we had 2 to 4 minutes. We're gonna be close because this is quick. But I've got garlic. I'm gonna use the jar garlic. You can use fresh or jar. And remember, I'm putting the jar garlic or the garlic in the center and until it's fragrant. It's just 20 to 30 seconds. You don't want to burn it. So, and this is very hot. So, and I gotta spread it out because it's quite a bit of garlic when we use jar. And I'm gonna stir that in. And then we're gonna add in our seasoning. So I've got my smoked paprika, a little bit of salt, oregano in there. And then I'm gonna add a bay leaf. A bay leaf. What does bay leaf do? This is making a lot of noise. Let's see if I can get it to calm down. There we go. Calm down. What does a bay leaf do?
What does a bay leaf do?
Yeah. It's a lot of recipes. There's a little bit of debate. I researched this. So it heightens some of the other flavors. That's why you add it. So it's used in a lot of Asian cooking. So Indian and Filipino, I know a lot of the dishes. So you want to take it out. It doesn't ever like soften. So it would be like biting into tinfoil. So I usually discard any half bay leaves because those are harder to dig out. So but just one bay leaf is, and you want it to cook longer. You don't want it to be like added just before. So but it gives a little bit of flavor itself, but from what I read, it does heighten flavors too. So somewhat. So you'll see it added to a lot of things, especially early on in the process like we did here. Okay, so we're going to get that going. I'm going to add in that, like I said, this is kind of the only chop. Everything else from here, it's already kind of jarred stuff. So we're going to add in, let me see if I missed that. Nope. Okay. So I actually have it here, but I'm going to add some frozen vegetables. So did you know sweet potatoes are frozen? So you can get those at Walmart. I can't always get at Hy-Vee. Sometimes butternut squash, which you could substitute, but sweet potatoes are already cubed. So, and then I'm not crazy about green beans frozen. I like French green beans, like grilled, but you know, a mixture of corn and carrots and peas and green beans, you know, just a little bit of that in there is nice for this. We're wanting that vegetable because this is a soup that you could easily do every day to up or before your meal. So we're just adding that in, and those are things that you could easily have on hand. So that's the nice thing there. So we're adding that. Then we're going to add some tomatoes, no added salt tomatoes diced. Remember, we're saving about 285 milligrams of sodium by adding the no added salt. I am using pinto beans instead of chickpeas because for some reason the Hy-Vee I went to and Walmart did not have no added salt chickpeas. So we're adding pinto beans. So you can substitute different beans if you want to. But when you do no added salt, you save 420 at least milligrams of sodium per serving when you do no added salt. So that's why I make sure I do no added salt. So then we're going to add our roasted red peppers. We're going to use this in a salad too, but this is jarred. I chopped it up some, but I drained off. I didn't rinse or anything. I just drained off the liquid and chopped it up. And there we go. We got a cup of that. Then we're going to add some dry white wine. So I've got Pinot Grigio here. It kind of lightens it up, just a quarter cup. Now, if you don't want to use wine, you could double the white wine vinegar and add a little water maybe to take down the acidity. So I'd add maybe 2 tablespoons of white wine vinegar and 2 tablespoons of water. Or you could use chicken or vegetable broth and then a touch of white vinegar because the wine has acidity in it. So, and it has other great kind of lightening components to it. The vinegar is just a little heavy on the vinegar side. So you don't have to, but I only added a quarter cup to this whole bowl here, and it just adds, it kind of deepens the complexity in a light way. So we're going to wait, but at the end, I'm going to add white wine vinegar. You can smell this if you want to. It's not as strong as white vinegar. You could use white vinegar. I might cut back to 1 tablespoon if I did that. But you just want to add it at the end again to before you serve. It just kind of adds another layer of flavor there. So we'll wait to do that and we'll add spinach. So we've got spinach in the refrigerator. I think I have that. So we'll add that just before we serve it. I'm going to take this down just a little bit and power. Oh, did I? Oh, here's actually this. Oh, but yeah, let's show this. So remember spinach, paper towel. Okay, both sides usually when I do the bag. It's moisture gets in there and that's what's going to make it go bad early. I don't care what the date is on it. So thank you. Also spinach, don't put in the back of your refrigerator where everything freezes. The broccoli can go back there. It likes cold. Spinach doesn't do so well frozen. So we'll add this at the very end and that's it. So you don't have to get the white wine vinegar again, but I just want to show you it. What if you had it? Vinegar is nice because it lasts like forever. So, but if you don't want to get another ingredient, I totally understand that. Okay, so this is the Brighten Your Day soup. I love that soup. The other soup, I want to highlight some things there. The creamy asparagus soup. So a couple things there. Onion. So we used onion in both these soups. Tell me, how do we cut the onion? Okay, test time. What do I cut off first? Which end? The hairy one or the non-hairy? Non-hairy, okay. So I remember. Sorry. Okay, and then we're going to go down the center because we're going to use the root system that's holding it together. We're not going to touch that to our eye because we're going to instantly cry. So we're going to peel back the layer here. And just if it comes off, that's fine. If not, that's fine. And then the first cut, horizontal cut's the most dangerous one. We're just gonna shimmy it a little bit in there and not cut off the root, just pull it out. And then we're gonna go down the lines of the onion. Again, not going through the root, using that to hold it together. And then throw this out. So that's how we cut onions so that we can do it quickly and evenly. So I want you to remember that, okay? You can cut shallots the same way. So I tried out a soup recipe this weekend. It didn't go, it was bland. Had good ingredients, but it was bland. But it had a shallot. And I was like, oh, I get to show them how to do a shallot. But shallots you can cut just like that too. So if you ever use shallot, and the nice thing about shallots is they're kind of between a garlic and an onion, even though they're in the onion family. And if you're cooking for one, my daughter told me this. She's in Chicago and she's 26. She's like, I love shallots because I just cut up one. You don't have to like have a half an onion. It's just like cut up one and then, you use that in the recipe pretty much. Okay. So a couple other notes about the asparagus recipe, soup recipe. We used cashews. Why did I use cashews? I got these at Trader Joe's, but you can get these also at Walmart. I have trouble at Hy-Vee getting truly raw cashews. Don't know why, but they're probably there. I just can't find them. But Walmart has them and, Trader Joe's. Why did I use cashews? What's the advantage of cashews? You see them in a lot of vegan recipes because it makes it creamy. Yes, instead of cream, makes it creamy. There's a lot of if you make macaroni and cheese, there's a lot of recipes using cashews and vegan cookbooks. It's a softer nut and it's got a little bit of sweetness to it. So we're only using half a cup because I know you're going, but Teresa, I remember the walnuts were like 1,000 and whatever. So, but we're just using a little bit to get that creaminess there. So asparagus. Okay, asparagus. So here's one way to keep asparagus fresh. It keeps it fresh a little bit longer. You need to keep the ends moist. So this is how I usually actually keep it in my refrigerator. So these are pretty skinny. I was like, wow. So you rinse it off. If this is slimy, toss it. It's bad. Okay. So that's how you know if you're good or not. So, and asparagus is so easy. I swear I've looked up and down, like, is this the way? For many years, all you do is like that. Wherever it breaks, it's done because this is the woody part that's thicker. It has a less desirable flavor. So you can usually just take like 6 of them. You don't have to do them individually. They will break where they break. Mother Nature made them, so they will. So, and then we're just gonna, usually you chop at an angle. It doesn't really matter that much. If you are making this for guests, I would save the tips like we did here and put them over there so they can put them on top. It's a nice touch to put on top. I would like you to try the asparagus soup without the dill, because the dill is recommended on top. I love the dill in it, but the soup, I want you to taste it and go, how can I make this better? And then try it with the dill and see if that made it better. Okay. So, but dill is a very soft herb. You can just rinse it, and then you just want to pluck it off the ends. You can pull it through those things, those herb things, but you can just pluck it. You just want to get it, basically you want to just kind of get it off of here. So you want those pieces and then cut that up. So it's delicate. You want to take the ends and have a moist paper towel and then put it back in the plastic thing to help it last. You could put it in a little thing of water. The problem is you need to have a long enough stem to not get the lower leaves in the water because they'll get slimy. So I usually just do a damp paper towel and then put it back in. Okay, let's see. What else? Celery. Okay, celery, you just break it off. You rinse it. A lot of times it looks a little iffy on the bottom, so you just chop that off. It's usually thicker on the bottom. So usually what we do is we just take the knife and go like that. So we've got, if it's really thick in the bottom, we can go 2 of those. Then you flip it over, hold it. So that's how you get even pieces. So it's just 3/4 cup of celery. So let me see what else I wanted to highlight. I think those were it. Yes, and you can vary this. If the picture on your in your binder looks brighter green than this, because I use half broccoli, you could substitute broccoli, zucchini instead of cashews. You could use almond milk if you wanted to. You know, I want you to figure out how to make these delicious for you. Okay, so let's see. I think we can probably turn that off. Like it's there. This one we can turn way down. Okay, cauliflower salad, and then we'll do chocolate. So cauliflower salad. So this is a very Mediterranean dish. So it's really got a little different combination, but it goes so well. We're going to make a sauce, like a topping sauce for it with some parsley. We're using, again, 1 jar. You can get different. You can get halves and strips, but they don't have, it's just citric acid is the only thing that's added in here. Drain it off, chop it a little bit, add that. We're going to add a little bit of brine, 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil, a little bit of mint there. And I'm going to add a little water. This is a very windy blender. So I'm going to give it a little help with the water there. And I'm just going to blender this up. This is our sauce. Okay, there we go. So that's it. Okay. I'm going to let you take that off. I'm scared. Sorry. Tanya. Sorry. I couldn't get the top off and I'm really nervous that I'm going to like splash it everywhere. So let me grab the cauliflower. Sorry, I thought you would have a better advantage there. Like,
Why? Because I'm closer to it.
I'm so nice. So, okay. Can you put this in the microwave for like a minute? That's a ricotta for the chocolate cream, the amazing creams. One of my secrets is to heat up the ricotta before you blenderize it, just to soften it so its texture is really good. Okay, so for the cauliflower salad, I blanched the cauliflower. I just did it 4 minutes in the steamer here, just like an inch of water, 4 minutes covered, and it's done. Then cold water, because we want to stop it. It takes down the bitterness a little bit. It stops the enzymes that kind of make it go bad a little sooner. And it gives it a little, it's still tender, but it's not crunchy. So it goes really nice. So you want to serve this cold. Let's see what else to say. Oh, okay. So cracking the cauliflower. So this is the first time I'm gonna get this way out of here. Okay, so you'll see why. Okay, this is kind of a little dangerous, but I'm dying to try it. Okay, I did try it. I did do one practice run. So this is a hack I saw. Normally I have you time me for 20 seconds for cutting cauliflower and I make it, but I think this is even better. Okay, so you ready for this? So I am going to hit this with this. I just rinsed this. This is the whole cauliflower and I'm going to get it into florets. Okay. So I'm going to hit it upside down 10 times. You ready? Okay, here we go. Okay. Let's see what happened. Okay, I did I smothered it. So, but I did get off. Let's see if I can get off. So I'll put this out here so you can see. I should have probably like left the top, like I took it off and I was like, oh darn. So I tried it with another one, but you can see we got the florets and you can see here how it's breaking off there. So I can probably, I'm making a mess, but I can probably just kind of, so it's coming off there. So it's working. I'm making a mess, but it's working. So the alternative is to cut it in half and then half again. Okay, I know. Okay. I like trying new things out. So, but when you have it quartered, you have a triangle in a sense from the top down to the thickest part of the core. The core becomes a triangle. It's thinnest at the top near the florets and it's thickest at the bottom. And you just need to slice that. You slice it and then you've got big florets that you just chop down further. So you can try this at home, but you just might need a lot of counter space. So
Or have a lot of candles.
yes, you might have a backup plan. So yes. Okay. So let me know if you try that and it works. Oh, you put that in there too.
Cleaning crew's gonna love us.
Sorry. Okay. Okay, so we're just gonna put this together. You're not gonna believe how this goes. I'm gonna get my plate here. So, oh, I'm gonna grab, did I grab here I did. So this is very Mediterranean. So we are Mediterranean. Let's just pretend we're like in Greece, along that blue water and the rocks with the islands there. Oof. So, okay, we're gonna put a little olive oil in there, 1 tablespoon. We're gonna stir that. And then we're going to put this. So if you serve this I've served this, I have a platter, a long platter. So I just put this all down in the long platter. So we're just going to spread this out for class tonight. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to this is the blanched cauliflower here. Just gonna put that on top like that. I've got my Kalamata olives. So Kalamata olives, I chopped them up a little more. I like them a little more chopped up. But I love Kalamata olives. We're gonna put our chopped, the other half a cup of roasted red peppers. So I used half in my sauce and half here. I'm gonna save let me put some of these here. And then my sauce here. Okay, now we're ready for the sauce. So we're just going to, and then I'm going to sprinkle some on top there. So there we go. So there's our salad. So you'll get to taste that, really nice. So very Mediterranean. It's a great way to get your veggies and a little bit of dairy and some herbs there and even. So awesome. Okay, so time for chocolate. So I'm gonna use a blender here. You've only got a couple ingredients. That's what I love about this. So thank you. I'm gonna use this. I use a blender all the time. This is our food processor. You don't have to use like a food processor. I've actually got the smaller attachment there just because it doesn't catch it as well when I do the big one. So we're gonna put this in, make a mess. Okay. Oh, I need to melt the chocolate. Oops, gotta melt the chocolate. So I'm gonna put that in.
How long did you heat up the ricotta?
1 minute.
Like a minute. Yeah. So you just want to get it. This isn't too bad. Some of the ricottas are like they got that texture, that little bit of lumpy texture. Not lumpy isn't quite the word, but a little bit of texture there. And you may be fine with that, but most people want this silky kind of chocolate texture. So I used 1 whole bar of the Ghirardelli 60% cacao. I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of the powdered sugar. If you want to try the cocoa instead of the chocolate bar, you do need to up the powdered sugar because this is sweetened. So you're going to need to up because the cocoa doesn't have any. Now, the advantage of using the cocoa is lower saturated fat. Okay. So, but, it's a taste thing. So you taste this tonight. What I made as a second batch. So I made this ahead. I made it with avocado. I used 4 of these little mini holy avocados, and otherwise exactly the same. 2 tablespoons of powdered sugar. Go ahead and stir. Oh wait. Go ahead.
She
and stir
just
it.
actually bought all of the.
Yeah, it's perfect for melting chocolate. So.
Why don't you have people on?
Oh, they come in different models. So, but this is just the chocolate melted, just like we did here. We're doing here 2 tablespoons of powdered sugar, and then the 4 of these. So, like I said earlier, I think in class, or in an earlier class with the holy avocado, if you don't use them up by the date, just put 3 months date out on it, put it in the freezer. And if you find you got 4 of them, make this. Okay. So it's really thick. So it doesn't make as much quantity because of avocado, but and you got avocado. This is actually, I'm not saying it's not a meal again, but it's a really good way to go for a little something sweet that you want. So you guys will try that tonight. So it's just really good. I haven't tried. One thing I want to try is put those in freeze them in little, almost I wouldn't do a whole ice cube, but I have the smaller ice cubes at home. So maybe try that and then pop them out and see how they are. So we're just going to add the chocolate, and that's all. The 3 ingredients is all it is. So we're almost there. So we've got our soups. We got cauliflower. Okay. Oh, wrapping things up because we are overshoot. I was trying to be on time today. Okay. So action step. Set your action step. So, and I want you to think about, setting aside, maybe when you do your menus or your shopping list, even just 2 minutes to reflect on what you tried. Thank you. Perfect. What you tried in the last week and how it went, what your learnings were, and what you're going to continue. Just baby steps, guys. And some weeks you'll be like, you know what? Next week is too stressful. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to hold what I'm doing. That's fine. Okay. But set aside some time to do some reflection on what's working, what recipes you really love and want to do more of, make them easy to make like we did in class 2. So I will be in September doing a Cooking with Heart for Cancer class. You're welcome to join. That one is on Tuesdays at noon. It's a lot of fun. It is still Mediterranean eating, so it's the same pattern, but we talk about things like sugar. Does it feed cancer? Is green tea good for you? Soy? What about breast cancer? All those kind of questions. 4 weeks again. Then in October, I will be doing a Cooking with Heart for Diabetes, and that's on Wednesday evenings, 6 to 7. It's just 1 hour. And then I'll be doing this class again. You're always welcome to do this class again. Bring a friend or not, just do it yourself, because you're going to be you're a different person than you were 4 weeks ago. You are different. You're seeing things differently. You're your habits are starting to change. So if you do it again, you're going to take different things away from it. So I've had people take it 2 times each, all 3 of the classes. I've had one person take 3, so of the cancer, and she was going through a serious cancer, and she did a lot of changes in her cancer. So, but these are classes to support you, and you know best what support you need. So I just encourage you to think about what you need to continue on this journey. So you have the foundation. See here, there we go. Okay, we're gonna make a loud noise. So not a good thing to make when you're hungry. So I'm gonna bring over this.
Oh, that looked.
I know, I wanted to lick it, but so look at the texture of this. I don't know if you guys can see there on the virtual. So it's really thick. You don't need to like put it in the refrigerator or anything. So, I mean, you can, and when I've served this for big groups, for special kind of leadership meetings, I've done like a little mint with raspberry leaf, just a mint leaf and a raspberry is really nice on top too. So, but you guys will get to try this. So there we go. So you can see there's still some texture. There is with the ricotta. I do want to let you know with the ricotta, for some reason since COVID, low fat has disappeared. I cannot find low fat ricotta anywhere. What they have is skim. And I know this sounds backwards, but skim has more saturated fat than low fat when we talk about ricotta. Don't ask me why. It's taken me like years to like get that locked into my brain, because I think the other way, skim sounds like it's like skim milk. So, but it's not. It's like a 0.5 gram to 1 gram difference per serving. So it's not huge, but it's something. So I have not in the last 2 years been able to find low fat ricotta. So, and I do find some of the ricottas are a little more pebbly than the others, greeny. So whatever. I mean, I just, I like to get as smooth as I can with the texture. You might find your blender just like makes it totally silky smooth. So, but there we go. So we have lots of chocolate recipes. The last thing I want to mention two more things. I do have a Facebook group that's a support group. I haven't done a lot of posting in it. I'm going to do some more posting in it. But it's made for you guys. It isn't made to like replace these classes. It's not made to be like posting recipe, although I will do that and have some, but it's meant for you to go to and post questions like, what should I substitute for this? Or, I'd really like a sweet potato something because I love sweet potatoes, or, and have other members help you. I am here to guide the process, but you got it. I don't want you to think I've got all the answers. I don't. I will search them out if, you ask me a question, but I want you to know you got it. And the other people in the class can help you. And the other people, there are a handful of other people on this Facebook group. It's a private group. I only, I make sure it's only people I've taken the class. So, but that's another way of just, looking at supporting you. But I just want you to know it's not really a recipe kind of posting place. And then the last thing is these classes are totally, they're free to the community. They're supported by the foundation. The foundation pays for everything. And so if you are so inspired, if you found the classes valuable, we welcome a donation of any, denomination. So you have an envelope possibly in the back. They have an envelope at a time. Maybe?
I think they do.
Yes, you do. Yeah. I see them. An envelope in the back that you could mail in, or there's a story of Jessica, and she had a heart attack, took these classes that you're taking. Her insurance wouldn't qualify her for the intensive cardiac rehab. And she lost 60 pounds, and she was 42 when she had her heart attack. And she's extremely grateful. But in that letter is like a link that you can just type in and go and make a donation to if you want to do that online. If you could make sure it's like cardiac, it's a cardiology donation so they know it goes for the classes. So, but that's one way. And the last couple things that you can do is you can let your doctor know, because you'd be surprised how many doctors and providers have no clue that we have these classes. So I'm trying to get out there, and a lot of them do, but just remind, they're busy. And, this is something that it's not in the Epic system, so it's not part of their normal process. So they have to kind of make an extra effort to say to patients, oh, there's this class that could really help you in what I'm asking you to do. So, but there's nothing better than you guys going in and showing the folder, the binder, or saying, hey, my blood pressure's dropped, and it's because I was following things from that class. And the last thing is, we're always looking for people that are willing to share their experience. And we're talking about you just saying, you know what, I didn't know what these classes would be like, or I was really hesitant because, I love my food, and, change is hard, and, I'm really picky about my eating. But you know what, I went in the classes and I found several things and I was surprised, and it wasn't anything like I thought, or maybe it was exactly like I thought, whatever. But marketing works with us. You can either give quotes, like write up something and then read it, or come in here and I'll just chit chat with you and we'll record it. And you okay everything before anything goes out. But your story is so much better than me doing a video. Okay. I do videos for marketing to promote this class, but I can tell you hands down, any video that comes from the heart of you guys is going to bring in more people to take this class that are hesitant. Because people are hesitant. It's your food. I get it. And I want you to enjoy food. I want you to love it. I want you to crave this food. So, and it does take time to figure out those recipes that you will, but you got it now. So if that's something that you'd love to do, I'd love to chit chat with you. So, and I'll hold your hand the whole way. And, everything is great. You don't have to, it's not about how many pounds you lost. I know Jessica's story is great, but you don't even have to lose weight. If you know that you're better off from taking these classes, that's all that we need you to say. So, okay. So it's time to eat.